going before Congress today, detailing the cost of the conflict with Iran. Fox's Jennifer Griffin.
The Pentagon comptroller estimates the Iran war has cost $25 billion so far, though it's not clear that includes repair to damaged bases, which estimated costs in the billions, and replacement munitions.
Democrats use the opportunity to grill Secretary Hegseth about the cost of the conflict as well as lack of resolution. America is listening to Fox News.
Get more on the Sheeler Motor Mile, your trusted dealer serving Southwest Virginia and surrounding areas for over 50 years. With more selection, more value, and more finance options. Plus, your trade is worth more. Shop local and save more with straightforward pricing, plus exceptional service and selection. Your search ends at the Motor Mile. Choose from over 900 quality pre-owned vehicles, plus a massive selection of new car brands in Southwest Virginia. Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Subaru, Kia, Chevrolet, Mitsubishi, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and now Buick. Plus, the used car superstore. 12 new car brands, 900 used vehicles, one amazing buying experience. Volume selling means volume pricing, and we've got more than any other dealer in the area. The Sheeler Motor Mile delivers choices. Here's the difference. Sheeler owns the finance company and makes getting approved for credit simple and easy on the Motor Mile. Flexible financing options for every budget to get you on the road fast. Get more on the Sheeler Motor Mile with a certified friendly staff and no games, no gimmicks. The Sheeler Motor Mile, now in Christiansburg, Radford, and Pulaski. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at Sheeler.com.
Hi, Gary the Third here, and I'm excited to say spring has arrived at Gary's Garden Center with great plants and a great selection. Gary's has seasonal color flowers along with vegetables, 60-plus varieties of herbs, perennial flowers, and much more. With friendly service and great advice, we are always happy to answer your questions. Visit Gary's Garden Center at 794 Leesville Road for all your lawn and garden needs. Stop by, say hi, and take a look around.
Ready for a getaway? Whether if it's a beach trip, mountain retreat, or a long-awaited family adventure, Farmers Bank can help you get there. Our vacation loan options offer simple terms and local services you can trust, so you can focus on making memories and not stressing over financing. Life moves fast. Take time to recharge and reconnect. When you're ready to plan your next escape, we're ready to help. Farmers Bank, your community, your bank, your future.
You're stepping into the fast lane on the VTRN Sports app, 93.3 FM and 1320 AM Lynchburg, or by asking Alexa or Google Home, open VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, take the fast lane through the topics that matter across the Commonwealth. This is the Fast Lane with Ed.
Oh, yes. Anything involving politics is a good way to start the fast lane. We're not actually going to get into politics today, but we are going to mention that in politics, polls are a common theme. Oftentimes, they're not always the most accurate representative of what's going to transpire, particularly when it comes to presidential elections. We're not getting political, but I happen to have noticed that trend just being more of a distant observer and not often buying in to what actually gets brought up. All of that is brought up today because CBSSports.com and their college basketball reporters have a poll. And about 80% of the respondents said they do not like the idea of the NCAA tournament expanding from 68 to 76 teams. But it's going to happen anyway. You know where we're going with this in the fast lane. You know what sound bites are about to be brought up. This is about two things. Yes, I am reaching for the sound bites for those watching at VTRN Sports on Facebook Live and YouTube, as well as Fast Lane and Lane on the social media platforms as well. This is about, on the most simple level,
dollar bills, y'all.
Because more expansion means more games. More games means more
dollar bills, y'all.
They can be distributed. And yes, this is also about
lots of power.
Because the schools that happen to have
lots of power
are the ones that drive the decisions in college athletics. And those are the schools that stand to get more
dollar bills, y'all.
By flexing that they have
lots of power
and expanding this NCAA tournament, men's and women's, from 68 to 76 teams. Simple explanation is he is going to provide more,
Dollar bills, y'all.
and therefore they can wield
Power.
and distribute that to the programs over which they have influence. And let's not kid ourselves here. There could have been a hypothetical debate last season, just a couple of months ago, not even 2 months ago, I don't know, 6 weeks ago. Which program, neither one is the answer, but which program was more deserving of an NCAA tournament bid? The perpetual bubble Virginia Tech Hokies, who can never find a way to win a close game from the midpoint of the ACC schedule, at the early point of the ACC schedule, all the way to their season ending in the ACC tournament. Because remember, they declined that NIT bid. Or the Liberty Flames, who at one point won, 13 games in a row, but were leaking 17 games in a row. Thank you, Trey. But they were leaking oil, obviously, losing 4 of their last 6 games, including their opener to future defensive tackle Michael Onsibansu in Missouri State in the Conference USA tournament quarterfinals. That could have been a hypothetical debate. Now, let's not get it twisted here. We know which school would have and in the future will get that berth. It has nothing to do with merit. It has everything to do with which conference has
Lots of power.
and which one doesn't. And if you're debating between the ACC and Conference USA, you already know the answer. And the reality is, I just don't like the concept of this. Look, this is generally how sports works. There's expansion that's proposed. Outside of baseball, where they could have stood to benefit and have stood to benefit by adding a couple more teams to their shorter postseason. Almost everything else, expansion is going to happen, does happen, and yet it dilutes the product. The NBA playoffs, there have been series where a best of 7 is rather entertaining. But then there's somewhere you really need more games between Oklahoma City and Phoenix. Did we really need more games between the Trailblazers and the Spurs? That series, both of them actually, wrapped up last night. We know the answer. Now, you may get a Minnesota-Denver where there's some compelling storylines. Minnesota's injuries. Can Denver erase a 3-1 deficit? There's a really good chance this one's going to go 7. But for every one of those, you're going to get other series which...
You just jinxed it. It's going... Minnesota's getting it done tonight.
Tonight? Is that the game, by the way, that we're carrying on the VTR?
No, we have hockey.
We have hockey tonight. Frazzle brain.
No, tomorrow is Minnesota-Denver.
Thank you, Trey.
The GOAT's in action tonight.
The GOAT of this generation, that is. Not of all time, of course. The GOAT of the new millennium.
I mean, technically Michael Jordan played in this millennium, so you're okay.
Well, I would venture to say LeBron in this millennium is better than Michael with the Wizards in this millennium.
I will say some of, you are a Cowherd guy. Some segments on this show are inspired by Colin Cowherd.
I guess so.
I mean, one you have every Monday is pretty inspired by Colin. I was pretty sure it was inspired by Colin Cowherd.
I think part of our covering the Commonwealth is even joking about how it's kind of a ripoff.
Yeah. So my favorite, if this take is coming back up, is like LeBron is doing this at 30.
All right, hold on.
Time to take a detour in the fast lane.
Because we will get back to the NCAA tournament talk in a moment.
He's like, LeBron's is doing this great stuff at 30, but he's never going to be better than Jordan at 41. I was like, well, that did not age well, because I know you love Michael Jordan, but I would say like post 30, like 40. 40 on, it's clearly LeBron James. Is what he was a top 15 player last year, and because of injuries, he's not going to be an All-NBA player, but he's the best player on a team that's going to win a playoff series. And it's not like the Rockets don't have all-stars on their team. I know KD's hurt, but the 2 best Lakers are hurt. So it's something in which you have to give I think LeBron's better at 40 than
I don't think there's a doubt
41. By the way, LeBron James is 41 right now.
I'm not at all going to dispute and argue that. Michael Jordan's career should have ended after that shot against Byron Russell. Game 6, 1998 NBA Finals. I get it. Can't help himself with competition. NASCAR is actually benefiting from that.
Or, maybe he's the little Brendan Sorsby going. Just saying.
Yeah, well, people have asked
there's
about...
some conspiracy theories about that.
I don't think there's a whole lot of disputing that Michael Jordan likes to get down. There are conspiracy theories about that as well. But anyway,
Ed's potentially unnecessary detour, let's get back on the road in the fast lane.
the point of what we've been bringing up is in a perfect world, which it's not, you could sit there and go, well, Virginia Tech, Liberty, who makes it into the 2025-2026 NCAA tournament that was prematurely expanded from 68 to 76 teams? The reality is we know the answer would have been Virginia Tech because they're in a conference that happens to have
power.
And therefore they would exert that so that they could generate a few more
dollar bills, y'all.
for the ACC. And the reality also is this. It doesn't help the product. It doesn't. The NBA expanding from 3 out of 5 opening round series, which were great, would still result in Oklahoma City and San Antonio winning relatively comfortably. It's just a matter of one extra game or not. But it's going to generate more money to the leagues. That's why they expanded. Similarly, Major League Baseball expanded their playoffs. Well, I actually think that is better because there were just too few teams in the postseason. The college football playoff. Oh, it was better with 4 teams. I actually think it's better with 12 because more teams actually have more at the end of the season. Oh, is the word that we got. The plan that is not one. More teams have that optimism. They could make some kind of postseason play that's meaningful. And it will expand again to 16 and maybe 24, even if you don't like it, even if you can, pardon my language, but bitch, moan, and complain. Couldn't help myself there on that one. About it expanding. Because it will bring more
Dollar bills, y'all.
And the conference that has
Lots of power.
the most of that is the Big Ten, and they want to spearhead it. And frankly, it would actually, I think the easiest sell to this is, well, everybody's going to get at least an automatic qualifier. You can have 2 group of 5 programs to get in so they can stop complaining and there's no antitrust lawsuits. Even with an expanded 2014 college football playoff, they just play on the opening round, knock themselves out, and we wouldn't really have to worry about them playing the big boys. They at least have a path to it, and you could kind of quell that idea of college athletics. But the NFL is going to expand to an 18-game schedule. It's a matter of when. They'll add an extra bye week in there. It will water down the product. But why do all these things happen? It doesn't happen because it makes a better product. We all know that's the case. It happens because people that are in positions of authority are the ones who often sell the idea that, oh, it's going to make a better product. Why even sell that? Just be honest with us. Like, there's an entrepreneurial thing. If it's not broken, then break it anyway and try to make it better. Sometimes those people carry that over to sports, and the product sucks more than it should because of that. And that is the truth. But inevitably, I'd rather you just tell me what the ultimate motivator is, and we can get on with our lives rather than pretending that you have these type of overarchingly good ambitions. Yes, it's watered down. Yes, it makes it better. Yes, the cat's not getting back in the bag on a best 3 out of 5 opening round of the NBA playoffs, or 16 as opposed to 18 games in the NFL, or the college football playoffs sticking at 12 teams when it will eventually expand to 16 and probably 24. Just tell me why. It's like the Diana receiving Mike Vrabel thing. Part of the reason people have latched onto that story is when they lied about it, even though the photos were obvious what's going on, they insulted our intelligence. Same thing with this. You're insulting our intelligence by trying to claim that expansion of the NCAA tournament or any other postseason format is about anything else outside of
Dollar bills, y'all.
and letting people know who has
Lots of power.
in these decisions. And that is where fans like me tend to get more upset. Speaking of people who have,
Lots of power.
and you may not exactly know how to navigate the situation, and you want to make sure that you don't get screwed out of
Dollar bills,
when
y'all.
you're in an auto accident. That's where Trost Law will come in and help. They've been serving our community, as Trey's guy reminds us,
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4.
but over 4 decades, since 1982. TrostLaw.com, 777 Hertz. They can help and serve you. Speaking of,
Lots of power.
and
Dollar bills, y'all.
vanishing, we get to that in
It's time for Fast 5 at 5-ish. 5-ish minutes on 5 relevant topics done around 5 p.m. ish. Ish, because our counting skills are kinda ish. Let's start with number 5.
Live Golf is shutting down. We all knew this was coming. After weeks on life support, Live Golf is shutting down because it has lost the funding of Saudi Arabia's PIF, Private Investment Fund. Wasn't this an inevitability? The whole concept of the league was not about generating the best quality golf or something with which fans could resonate. It was about sports washing. And the people that backed it up and decided that their ultimate ambition in sports was going to shift, or that they were going to divert some of those financial resources elsewhere, this league was not standing on media contracts. It was not standing on a loyal fan base. It wasn't standing on premium golfers performing at a high level, but with a much better financial structure. It really is just something that prompted the PGA Tour to adjust its own compensation structure and therefore strengthen where the PGA Tour is. Think of it similarly, NASCAR's lawsuit from 2311 and Front Row Motorsports, where NASCAR has got more favorable terms for teams that operate. That's the settlement that came out of that. There are other comparisons that pop up with this as well, but that's the one that's obvious for us in our own backyard. That's the ultimate objective. And once you achieve that objective, there's really not a whole lot of point to keeping something like this around, which is why it was inevitable this decision was going to be made. Speaking of, Mike Tomlin, hired by NBC for their studio analyst role. And by the way, NBC also announcing that their studio analyst Football Night in America pregame show is going to be on the road throughout the entire upcoming season. Of course, you're not going to be watching it because you'll just be listening to the best play-by-play on the BTRN Sports app, and that's that smart speaker open BTRN Sports. But having watched that a couple of times in my lifetime, I get there are a lot of people around here who like Tony Dungy and what he stands for on a faith-based component. I also get there's concerns that Mike Tomlin, if you dig around the internet, as great as he is as a quote machine and as great as he was as a coach, extracting talent from the Steelers, and I think they're going to struggle more this year, and you're going to find out Tomlin was a big part of why Pittsburgh overachieved during his tenure in the back half of it. The reality is he is a necessary addition to NBC because Tony Dungy was a couple of decades removed from the game. They also got rid of Chris Sims, again, removed from the game a little bit further. It's really difficult to keep outgoing talent around. You need to find ways to freshen it up. Fox, Jimmy Johnson goes out. Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman come into their pregame show roles. CBS Sports alternating a level of talent as well. Matt Ryan is the latest to have gone out. They've added Nate Burleson and increased his role over recent years. But inevitably, you got to either evolve or you dissolve, and you have to find fresh perspectives that come in. J.J. Watt was initially on that. He is a great pairing with Ian Eagle on the number 2 pairing. The best pairing CBS has for a TV broadcast duo. Although Trey might give his idea. Come on, Trey, say it.
Jim.
I know. No, I don't know, Jim. I don't know.
I don't know, Jim.
My man, Tony Romo. That's why Jim Nantz cannot be at the top of CBS's broadcasting pyramid for the NFL because of his color analyst, who is just a caricature of himself. I would have loved for Tomlin actually to have been in that role. I get it. It's hard to admit making a mistake, but I think we all kind of know that one was a mistake. Speaking of making mistakes on a large level,
Number 3.
Sources have come out to Pete Nakos of On3. They are a respected college football media outlet. That dating back to 2022, Brendan Sorsby, he will be suspended, Texas Tech quarterback, placed more than 10,000 wagers and at one point averaged 20 bets per day across multiple states. Well, he did play for Indiana, then Cincinnati, now Texas Tech. So he's bounced around in different legal sportsbook areas. This is a sign of problem gambling. Look, there are times where I'll make multiple bets, but then there are times where I take sabbaticals. Football season, believe it or not, actually will do a number of those. The deeper we get into calling Jefferson Forest Cavalier football, even going to games on Saturday, it just becomes too much. So I downshift until we get to late November and December, and the schedule lightens up. Oftentimes at Lent, including this past year, it's one of the first things that I will get rid of, no matter what. Even with the temptation for predicting on things like the NFL draft and March Madness, my faith is greater than that. I have to admit that. But I understand it's a temptation. And honestly, this is the type of thing that's going to pop up more frequently. Because the people that are more likely to get embroiled in this are college football athletes and college basketball athletes. They're new and coming into money. It is big into the culture of college campus lifestyle. Trey, you're most recently on a college campus, and you may have chimed in on the morning warm-up, and please accept my forgiveness if you touched on this and it was a part where I was not listening in the car line with my kids. I was listening to your chat with Bryce and Gordon of newsadvance.com. I remember that part. But, back in my day, drinking was the more common theme on campuses. It seems like people still will imbibe and maybe engage in foreign substances.
They'll do both.
But sports betting has been added to the equation in a way that just wasn't there back in the day.
Yeah, I may or may not have placed a few bets my senior year of college once I figured some
maneuverability.
There are places that are not within the realms of the state of Virginia. You could bet on stuff.
Wager on the internet.
Yeah, I mean it's just college kids.
It's like an alcohol consumption though at college.
Yeah.
And this is where I'll interject. I don't have a problem with it per se, but it is like alcohol consumption in the sense it's legal, and I'm fine with it being legal. But not everybody can handle it the same way. Some people can have one sip of alcohol and they go off the rail, and it just doesn't jive with their body. I've been in a family where that's a real challenge, and I've seen it with so many of my family members where, for the most part, my brother's the anomaly. He could have 10 beers and you never notice it. But everybody else, a lot of us at least, you have one drink and it totally alters the way you think and the way you perform and act. And it has these different effects. Whereas for some people, my brother's one of them, you have a bunch, you never notice it, and it doesn't impact how he functions the day after or multiple days after. It's just how God made us differently. Sports betting is the same way. Some people can handle it and some people can't. And it's okay to say you can't handle it and you need assistance, which, by the way, if you're in that spot, that is why you should visit Central Virginia Counseling, Timberlake Road or Wigington Road in Lynchburg. They can work with you and get you the proper steps so that you can be the best version of yourself. Because again, some people can handle betting, some people can handle drinking, some people it just doesn't jive with. And if you're placing 10,000 wagers over a 5-year period and placing an average of 20 bets per day, 20 a day, LeBron can't even get you to that. He stops at 7 with his chant.
Well,
I mean, that's how much it is. No, not one.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
But almost 3 times that, 20 a day. It is a problem. And the flag is raised. And kudos to Brendan Sorsby for getting treatment. If you bet on Indiana games, there should be a suspension for that because it's been across locker rooms forever when it's been legal or not legal. That's the one thing you can do is bet involving your own game in your own league. And that's the one that I think is a non-negotiable. Kind of like Pete Rose in baseball and others, you just have to come down harder because you can't compromise the integrity of a product. But for everything else, educating people on that and helping people to monitor it. And I think if anything, that's why I'd say in Commonwealth of Virginia and other areas, allow people to bet, allow the general public to be able to bet on their own state. And then for athletes, you just get an open, there's got to be a way to coordinate this. If you're taking money from sports books, which college campuses and their media partners are doing, by the way, this brings us into
Number 2.
If you're taking money from sports books, which college campuses and media properties are doing, here's an idea. Everybody who is a Division I athlete at any of these schools, because you can't really bet on Division II and Division III. But if you're a Division I athlete, you have to be able to submit your information and sign up for a sports book. And that sports book then opens up their access to every school so that a compliance officer at your school is in charge of sports betting. And their job is to monitor the athletes and determine if the athlete is placing a bet on college sports and others and have clear guidelines in place that are punishing it. I can't be the only one thinking it. I don't care if Alan Tisdale at Virginia Tech is betting on the NBA playoffs. But if Brendan Sorsby or Alan Tisdale or anybody else are betting on your own sport, that's a no bueno. Again, if you're the NCAA or in college athletics, get organized, have clear guidelines in place, have clear punishment, and then have clear enforcement arms and work in conjunction with the sports books from whom you're taking so much money. Meanwhile, finally, we have a football schedule for the Liberty Flames. It was a matter of when. the schedule is going to be released. Because the fact that the Liberty Flames football schedule for 2026 came out today, just 2 days after the settlement was announced between Conference USA and Louisiana Tech, because that settlement has now been announced and they're out of there, we finally have a schedule for the Liberty Flames. John Manson from MySteelRide.com will give us more of his opinions on the schedule around 5:45 today. We'll get to Bob Alvis of the Sports Bay podcast. We knew James Madison would be the opener on September 5th. What a way to start the season. I'd love to see that be a more regular thing between the Dukes and the Flames. And if they ever happen to be in the same conference and whatever new version of college football comes in a 5 to 10 year window, then make it at the end of the year where those teams are playing, or some variation of JMU, ODU, and Liberty all playing each other toward the end of the year. But after that, they have home dates, Saturday the 12th and the 19th against Gardner-Webb and Ball State, respectively. At Coastal is a Thursday game, September 24th on a short week. That's going to be a tough one for the Flames. Then Friday, October 2nd, they are at Delaware. We'll have a conflict, I'm sure. Actually, I think that may be JF's bye week, if I recall correctly, on the schedule. Not planning to go up to that game, but certainly it'll be easier to bring coverage of that. Then midweek on the mountain is October the 8th against Sam Houston State. A bye week the following week. Then October 21st are at Kennesaw State. And then for Liberty, you've got a slew of Saturday games at the end of October. I don't like Saturday, October 31st being a home date because that's Halloween trick-or-treating with the kids. So I'm going to have to do some real scheduling gymnastics on that one. But they're at New Mexico State November 7th. The 14th and the 21st, they are at home against Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky. And then they wrap up the year at Missouri State on November 28th, which, if you're basing on the last couple of years, the end of the season schedule for the Flames could be a really challenging one, as well as obviously the beginning with James Madison being one of those red flag races. We'll get into that with John Manson from MySteelRide.com in just a little bit. Following return, is there all shakeup that's now here in the Central District? And is this the year where we have more teams than ever that can make it out of the area in the Central District and make deep runs in regionals? Bob Allis of the Sports Bay podcast will offer his perspective next in the Fast Lane on the VTR Sports app.
Here we grow again at the Sheeler Motor Mile. It's here, the all-new Motor Mile Chevrolet and Buick in Radford. More brands, more selection, and the same exceptional service you expect from a trusted community partner. Whether you're shopping Chevrolet or Buick, you'll find quality, value, and a team that puts you first. From rugged trucks and SUVs to stylish cars and family-friendly vehicles, Motor Mile has something for everyone. With straightforward pricing and top dollar for your trade, there's no better place to buy. Bring us your trade, new or older, paid off or not, and see why your car is worth more on a Motor Mile. Plus, with more inventory arriving daily, now is the time to shop a Motor Mile. Sheeler owns the finance company and makes getting approved simple and easy on the Motor Mile. Flexible financing options for every budget to get you on the road fast. Experience the Motor Mile at 3 convenient locations: Christiansburg, Radford, and Pulaski. For over 50 years, we've got Southwest Virginia covered. The all-new Motor Mile Chevrolet and Buick in Radford. Certified friendly staff. No games, no gimmicks. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at MotorMileChevroletBuick.com.
Whether you're facing a tough season or looking for support to overcome life's obstacles, Central Virginia Counseling is here for you. Central Virginia Counseling is accepting new clients at both Lynchburg locations on Wigington Road and Timberlake Road. And telehealth is available anywhere in Virginia. Serving children, teens, and adults, our counselors are equipped with diverse skill sets to help you on your journey. For more information, visit us at centralvirginiacounseling.com.
If you own a diesel truck or diesel fleet, it's time to go wicked and get serviced for the spring. And when you go wicked, take 25% off your service request for a limited time. Wicked Diesel in Bedford will allow 25% off a transmission flush, coolant flush, oil change, differential service, or AC service. Your choice. Just tell Josh you want that 25% off service special. Download the coupon at wickeddieselva.com. Need diesel repair? Go wicked.
What did you think hard work
Your insurance company tells you to go to a certain shop. Once they give you the inflated estimate, you think, uh-oh, better get Mako. For over 50 years, Mako has been repairing and painting cars. Mako is not in contract with insurance companies. They work for you. They don't give insurance companies discounts and rebates you'd never get. At Mako, you'll get an honest assessment of your repair work by trained, certified professionals. You'll get the choice to pay with insurance or out of pocket, whichever makes sense for you. So if you have an insurance claim, get a second opinion at Mako on Kimber Street in Lynchburg.
Like you said,
An evening with Larry the Cable Guy.
It's a cool anniversary for me tonight. This is my 27th year in the comedy business, and it's my 5th year being funny, so I'm excited about both of them, all right?
Saturday, May 9th, 7:30 p.m. Salem Civic Center. On sale now at Salem Civic Center box office or Ticketmaster.com.
Step into the fast lane 24/7 at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the fast lane.
Boy, this might be the most wide open Seminole District softball slate that we have seen in quite some time. What'd you say, Trey?
You're frozen.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. Oh, it's the worst. But the best is Bob Alvis of the Sports Buffet podcast. And he joins us now here in the fast lane, and he can see us and we can see him. Bob, it is great to be speaking with you. I hear that you're on, so I am pumped up for that already. Are we in a spot where this is the most wide open and deepest softball Seminole District that we've seen in a couple of years? All right, we will try it again. Bob Alvis of the Sports Buffet podcast. We'll give it one more try, and then if not, we will get him on the horn and see if we can do it that way. Bob Alvis of the Sports Buffet podcast, our high school expert. I would say it is. I mean, when you factor in that over the last couple of weeks, that what we've seen, they've beaten Rustburg, Amherst, by the way, they've beaten Rustburg, they've beaten Appomattox, and then most recently, they managed to get a couple of other big victories during that particular tenure. This has become one of the better teams in the area because of just how deep that they have been. We know about Rustburg, we know about LCA, but Amherst announcing themselves on the scene as maybe the deepest we've seen in quite some time. Not to mention that Brookville then just knocked off Rustburg. That adds to the level of unbeatenness and adds to the level of just how unique this season is in softball in the area, which, I mean, when you're talking about deep runs into the tournament, that's one of the coolest things that I'm excited about. So we're trying to go with Bob Alvis of the Sports Buffet podcast here in the fast lane. Bob, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
My man, woo! We celebrate those victories because they do not come easily for us here in the fast lane. We're for the everyman. We make it a little bit harder. Bob, is this the deepest Seminole District softball season we've seen in quite some time?
Everybody is beating up everybody for the most part, but it's going to kind of be to the foil when you have to go into regional play. If you're not one of those top 4 seeds, you're going on the road for the first game. A little bit different in Division 4 because you only have the top 5. So if you're not a top 2 seed, you're going on the road. But it could hurt when it gets to that point. But I think it's a very, very good district. Amherst is very, very good, obviously. I still think Rustburg is good, even though they fell last night. Obviously, you've got JF lurking. There's so many teams that you've got lurking in the Seminole District for softball that I think it's going to be a tough out for other people outside of the Seminole to put them out.
Brookville beat Rustburg. They're lurking. We mentioned, obviously, with JF and the way they're kind of hiding in the weeds. First of all, for Rustburg, they've lost a couple of these games now in closer fashion. Is this the fact that it's really hard having the target on your back? And they're one of the programs, probably the one in the Seminole District. I'll put Appomattox separately because they're in the Dogwood. But in the Seminole District, they've kind of been the standard bearer program, and that does take some adjustment that you're getting everybody's best level of focus night in and night out.
Sure. I talked to Katie Bigham, head coach, last night after the game, and she said she told Layla, who is her daughter, who's now pitching for the Red Devils, that, hey, you're going to give up home runs, and you just got to shake them off. Unfortunately for Bigham, she gave up a home run at the bad time last night. It was the bottom of the 6th inning, a 3-run homer to Addison Ray of Brookville, and Brookville wins the game 3-1. But, it's been a lot of games in a short time for Rustburg, and everybody is going to see that. I was supposed to have a game today. It got moved due to weather. So now you're going to be getting into the back-to-backs. It's kind of like basketball when the snow came. You're going to kind of be sitting, but knock on wood, the weather in spring has not been so terrible to where people are sitting a lot.
No, we haven't gotten a lot of rain up to this point. We actually need a lot of it. in the area. Prayers that we get rain, but not thunderstorms, so that at least some sports can get going. Preferably lots of rain overnight, rain that starts at like midnight and then stops at about noon on a given day so that we can get these games in, Bob.
Yeah,
But
the one
ahead.
sport that's going to hurt is baseball and softball. I mean, soccer can go in the rain. Lacrosse can go in the rain. Jefferson Forest has the field turf. City Stadium has the field turf. Heritage Baseball has the field turf. But it's a hard look to find a lot of places that can, sustain the rain and play. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Ed.
No, you brought up that interesting point. Obviously, athletic directors in the area are probably not echoing my sentiments about wanting rain. They want, less rain and more consistently so that it dries up a little bit sooner for all of their programs. But you mentioned that for the flow. So one of those things you mentioned for Rustburg is, like last night, they got a 1-0 lead. Then you give up a 3-run homer and you lose 3-1. And it's and remember, softball games go 7 innings, not 9.
Right.
So bottom of the 6th inning or bottom of the 6th inning home run at Brookville, it's a lot different in terms of perspective. How much for Rustburg, though, is there value that teams will hit points of the year, even if you go undefeated or win almost every game? You're going to have times where you're playing your best or you're not. And if you're Rustburg, you're kind of fleshing that out of your system right now as opposed to this happening in a couple of weeks.
0-0 going to the bottom of the 6th. Brookville gets the 3-run homer. Rustburg gets one back and starts threading in the 7th. So that's how it winds up 3-1. But everybody coaching is going to tell you, and Coach Bigham told me after the game last night, we need to get some offense because your pitchers are going to give up home runs. It's unfair to say to your pitcher, hey, hold the other team to 1 or 0 because you need to get some runs. I would say preferably in my eyes, 3 or 4 feels good. I mean, obviously I'm not going to complain if it's 6 or 7, but you've got to get some runs because saying to your pitcher and your defense, hey, hold them to 1 or less, that's a really hard ask.
No doubt. I mean, that changes the entire complexion. 3 is different. There's at least a little bit of margin for error, but there's just not when it comes to anything else. We touched on Rustburg. They've dropped a couple of games. Appomattox in a close one. Same thing with Amherst County. Brookville was more of a surprise. The flip side of that equation, have the Brookville Bees announced themselves as being on par with, I know they don't like being compared to JF, but that Brookville and JF are those two teams in the Seminole that we know what Amherst has done. We know the history of Rustburg. They've now announced themselves as teams that have kind of lurked, that can make noise not only in the Seminole, but are teams that you have to watch out for when playoff action begins.
I really think, in Division III, you're going to have Brookville, Rustburg, Liberty, Amherst, and JF will be in Division IV. You're looking at Division III, you're looking at a lot of Harrisonburg, Turner Ashby. You're looking at that part of the valley, so to speak, Rockbridge and their districts as well. So 10 teams get in Division III. So you're going to be looking at, you want to get into that where you don't have to go on the road in the first round, because the first round you're looking at 7-10, 8-9. Then we get into a traditional tournament more so at that point, at least in my eyes, we do. So, you got to get the home field. I think Rustburg, Brookville, and everybody, even in Division IVs with JF and Amherst too, it's a situation to where the Seminole District, it's kind of like football and basketball. You beat up on other people, but you just hope you haven't beaten them up so bad to where you still have, or they haven't beaten you up so bad to where you still have a little juice for the playoffs.
Bob Alvis, the Sports Buffet podcast, with us here in the Fast Lane. Bob, what's the upside for the Amherst Lancers now that we've seen them rattle off some impressive victories consecutively?
A home playoff game. I mean, they got to keep winning. They know how to win. That's obvious. They know how to face adversity. That's obvious. I've seen them play once this year, and they got into a slugfest. They came out in that one. They can also win small ball. Drew Ware was actually an assistant coach this year with Teron Watson at Nelson for basketball. So I would argue he knows how to win from that point too. So I think Amherst right now, I don't think there's a substitute for knowing how to win. I mean, I don't care if you beat a team that's over or if you beat an undefeated team. If you know how to win, I think that is huge at the high school level because, as you know, Ed, when you're dealing with 16 and 17-year-olds, between the ears can be very, 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 very interesting.
Bob Alvis with us here in the Fast Lane. You mentioned that confidence or lack thereof is a very fickle thing for many athletes at high levels. It's even more heightened when you're talking about the high school side of things. Bob, we touched on it from a softball perspective. Baseball right now, is it LCA and JF as the two teams you look to the most Glass, they've improved the last couple of years. Amherst has been strong. Is this as deep a Seminole District in baseball that you've seen?
You know, it's funny because you always hear about the baseball with the one arm. And a lot of people have the one arm, but not as many people have the 2 and the 3. JF has a lot of arms. LCA has a lot of arms. Amherst kind of been a little bit of a yo-yo this year. Rustburg's a pretty good team right now. You know, you've got Brookville when they throw Bryce Tolbert. They're a definite threat, and they have others too. But you're looking at, I think a lot of coaches try to figure out sometimes, hey, we've got to win X game, so this is when we have to throw our quote-unquote number one, even though nobody is designed or designated a number one. The bats for LCA have not been as prolific as they have been in the past few years, but they're still really good. I mean, if you take away a Wes Clark, you know, from years ago, you're taking away, you know, Babe Ruth a little bit from the Yankees. You still have a potent lineup to play with, but when you take away a one big bat, I think that puts pressure on the bats that were 2 and 3 and 4, because now they're asked to be number one. Plus, also, I think what doesn't get enough credit sometimes or enough looks is when you play JV sports and then you go up to varsity, 6 o'clock on a Thursday and 5 o'clock or 7:30 on a Friday. 6 o'clock to Thursday, 7:30 to Friday. That is a major, major difference. It's not just one day, but psychologically and everything, that is a huge play.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing in prime time. You know, is that the easiest way to explain that?
Yeah, you've gone from Fox Sports 2 to Fox Sports.
FS2, I like Bob Alvis breaking out the FS2 analogy now to prime time Fox Sports on a Friday night. I like it, though. I mean, it does have the feel. I've seen it in football, too. I mean, it takes an adjustment where you have to get used to more eyes, more attendance. And no offense, but a lot of times in JV, it's family and friends and, you know, closest students. It's much more of a community thing when you're playing on Friday.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl is a lot different from the Rose Bowl. That's all I'm saying.
Bob Alvis with us here in the Fast Lane. Bob, a couple more things. We can touch on Glass baseball. We'll do that the next time because they've kind of inserted themselves the last couple of years as a team worth mentioning. But a former Glass standout in basketball, Amandre Harris, who was really talented, probably a little bit taller. He might have some better offers that are out there, but that's the nature of it. Transferring from Virginia Union to Virginia State, I'll be curious if Ty Tracy has any snarky comments to make in the morning warm-up the next couple of days. Your assessment, though, of Amandre Harris and his career and the fact that, you know, he still is finding ways to perform at a high level, even if it's a step down from Division I.
You know, you say it's a step down, and I don't disagree. I know where you're coming from.
A profile step down.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said a profile step down, not a commitment step down, but a profile step down.
Right. I think a lot of it is, you know, if you are going to be a big fish and you go to a school where you don't play as much, I think that's maybe, I don't want to say what the portal was designed for, but I think that's where people need to use the portal more than, you know, I'm just not happy type of thing, because 3 and 4 schools can get a little silly. But I think Amandre has really taken the time to figure out where is my best fit. And, you know, you can talk all the way from the pros to Brady, Belichick, you know, all the way down to college, all the way down to high school. Fits are important. Fits are hugely important. And for Amandre, because I know that kid's smart enough to where he's going to do his homework and he's not just going to, you know, jump off the high dive into something that's got no water into it. I'm sure he did his due diligence and looked into it. Coach Best and Coach Anderson and Coach Levitt over at EC Glass, they do their homework too. So I think it's a win-win for Amandre and, you know, Virginia State.
Bob, we'll wrap it up on this. How much do people underestimate the fact that, you know, I know Brad Bradley at Heritage has gotten acclaim for this. We've got a different angle to that because of Ty Tracy from Heritage to Virginia Union and is now part of the morning warm-up from 7 to 8 a.m. on the VTRN Sports app. But between, you know, that, you mentioned DJ Best and other coaches, that people think of the coach-player relationship as ending in high school. In reality, a lot of times it's providing that extra level of ears and guidance for them when they're making big college decisions.
You know, the one I can think of off the top of my head is Ryan Gilliland, head baseball coach at JF, and his nephew, Jackson Cherry, who went from JF to Mercer. Then he went to Virginia Tech, which has to kill the UVA Hall of Famer Gilliland. I'm surprised he doesn't have, like, you know, snakes coming out of his ears for that one or something or another. But, you know, I think when you have a coach that's been through the recruiting battles or has been to where you've been, it's played at the next level, they can really look and decipher maybe where is the best move. I remember talking to Coach Best, and I asked him, when did you want to become a coach? And he said, when I figured out I couldn't play. And that was early. So I think what DJ Best did at an early level is start to look at the game. And then when he got to be, even a JV coach before varsity coach, it's never too early to start making contacts. It is never too early to network. And fortunately or unfortunately, in the world we live in, it sometimes may be more of who you know than what you know. So if you're going to the guiding forces too, who do they know? And who's going to say they know them? You know what I'm saying?
Very much so. We know it. Bob Alvis of the Sports Wave Podcast with us here in the Fast Lane. Bob, thank you as always. We are grateful for your perspective, and we look forward to chatting again in another week.
If you want to go high in life, just don't say you know me. You'll go high.
Oh, we are glad to say we know you. I've brought your name up before, and it has done positive things for us, so we are going to disregard your supposed advice.
Have a good one, Ed.
Bob Alvis with us here in the Fast Lane. When we return, the schedule is out for the Liberty Flames. Bob Alvis is actually paying attention to that, by the way, because he goes to some Liberty Flames home football games. So does John Manson from ASeerRed.com. He's there with us and will join us next here in the Fast Lane.
Don't miss the declaration of deals during our spring clearance at Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Buy now with big incentives or low financing, or we'll pay your state sales tax. Your choice. Plus no payments for 90 days. Don't miss the savings, like $6,500 off MSRP on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Plus no payments for 90 days at Magic City Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1750 Independence Boulevard in Bedford. MagicCityBedford.com. Stock number BT12821 with approved credit. See dealer for details. Ends 4/30/26.
Hi, Gary the Third here, and I'm excited to say spring has arrived at Gary's Garden Center with great plants and a great selection. Gary's has seasonal color flowers along with vegetables, 60+ varieties of herbs, perennial flowers, and much more. With friendly service and great advice, we are always happy to answer your questions. Visit Gary's Garden Center at 794 Leesville Road for all your lawn and garden needs. Stop by, say hi, and take a look around.
Midday hunger hitting you hard? Swing by McAdoo's for our $8.95 weekday lunch specials. Whether you're craving a classic crunch or something fresh, we've got you covered. Chicken tender basket featuring crispy golden tenders served with fries. The McAdoo's Chef Salad, a healthy, loaded favorite that will hit the spot. Hit back against your lunchtime hunger at McAdoo's with eats that won't break the bank.
It's time to share great food and fun. Just to be there the only one. Just to be there at Market Juice.
We'll see you at the Dues.
Head to Miller-Built Outdoor Equipment during the Toro Spring Sales event for incredible savings on select Toro zero-turn mowers. Get up to $300 off on select Time Cutter and Titan zero-turns, or choose one of the amazing financing offers. When it comes to taking care of your acreage, there's nothing like the MyRide suspension that lets you float above the bumps and rough terrain. Visit Miller-Built Outdoor Equipment in Lynchburg today for the best sales, service, and expert advice around. Toro, count on it.
Hi, I'm Randy Trost with Trost Law. We've seen a lot since 1982. One new issue is an increasing number of uninsured drivers. Unfortunately, when these drivers are at fault for an accident, there's a higher likelihood that they'll flee from the scene, leaving you with a potential mess. So in shopping for your auto insurance policy, please keep in mind that strong, uninsured motorist coverage can protect you from this headache. And if you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, call us at 777-HURT and visit trostlaw.com.
Step into the Fast Lane 24/7 at Trey Lyle VT and Fast Lane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the Fast Lane.
So if you've ever seen the original Kings of Comedy, we're using a Steve Harvey reference here in the Fast Lane. He's on there with a couple of others, D.L. Hughley, Bernie Mac, R.I.P., and then Cedric the Entertainer. They're the original Kings of Comedy. They have, first of all, we want to thank God for being here. We pray. And then, now that I got that out of the way, they go into their comedy spiel. And let's be real here, some of the language there is not exactly language that would be befitting of a church congregation. I bring that up to say, now that we got the lawsuit settled and out of the way between Louisiana Tech and Conference USA, and that the Bulldogs are off to the Sun Belt Conference, we can actually look at the Liberty Flames football schedule and know that it is real. So to do that with us today here in the Fast Lane, somebody who we don't want to get out of the way. We want his insight for as long as possible, and we do get it when he's not with us at aseaofred.com. John Manson with us here once again in the Fast Lane. John, great to be speaking with you. Thank you for your time. First of all, can Liberty Flames fans finally exhale now that they know what their football schedule will look like for the 2026 season?
Wait a minute. More importantly, did you want to see Louisiana Tech play 20 games like me?
That would have been fun to see them play 20 games. I guess they got 9 or 10 of those games off their docket this coming season, and one of those is the trip to Lynchburg to play Liberty one final time. So that game's been removed and scrubbed from Liberty's schedule this coming fall. Instead, Liberty will play Missouri State on the road. First trip making it out to Missouri for the Flames football team, and they'll have a first-year head coach, as others will on Liberty's schedule this coming fall. And, the one team in Conference USA that Liberty won't play, because, with 10 members now, everybody's playing 8 conference games, you're going to miss one. And it's Jacksonville State. It's a little bit, I guess disappointing is the right word, as far as I'm not sure why Conference USA wouldn't want Liberty and Jack State to play. They seem to be two teams that certainly you expect to be in the Conference USA championship mix, and Liberty was obviously in 2023 and even 2024 until the final game of the regular season. And Jack State has been in the Conference USA championship game each of the last 2 seasons. So it's a little disappointing those two teams won't play, but Liberty will get everybody else in the new 10-member league that is Conference USA, which seems like there's changing. I guess there has been changes each of the 4 years Liberty has been in the league to its conference membership. But yeah, it's good. I mean, it's basically May. I mean, it's May 1st Friday. So it's getting late in the year to finally get a football schedule release. That'll be just here in a few months. And but fans can go ahead and make their travel arrangements, and especially the Liberty's fan base, so spread out, and people making trips for the weekend games, and being able to go to some of the road games as well too. And for media folks like myself and you guys, and also Bryson Gordon, who I know Trey has on most mornings, most weekly mornings, I guess Wednesday mornings a lot of times on the morning warm up. To make our travel plans, try to get to some of these away games as well too.
Thank you for listening, John. I appreciate it.
You do a great job. I do enjoy listening. I listen every time you have Bryson on, at least, if not more often than that. And I always love the Red Sox jabs you give him.
Exactly. See? One of us. I mean, thank you.
Oh, my goodness. No detours today in the Fast Lane. I got to keep us on track, Trey and John, as John Manson from aseaofred.com is with us here in the Fast Lane. John, is this the first time since the 2020 COVID season that the Flames open up on the road, this time at JMU?
Well, yeah, that's a good observation. It's the first time since 2023 when Liberty opened. That was the final, or actually 2022, excuse me, the final season under previous head coach Hugh Freeze. The game at Southern Miss, you may remember that, the 4 overtime thriller, which Liberty had 3 different quarterbacks play that day. Obviously, Charlie Brewer started the game and got injured there in the first or second drive, and then Jonathan Bennett took over, and then we got our first extended glimpse of Caden Salter, and kind of led Liberty to a late comeback and ultimately winning. And like I said, 4 overtimes in that marathon game, a game I was fortunate enough to be there in person. But yeah, it'd be the first time Liberty opens on the road in the Jamie Chadwell era. When Liberty goes to James Madison just up the road in Harrisonburg that first Saturday of September, in a game that, it's a lot of question marks. And as soon as schedules get released, people start saying, oh, let's try to predict the win-loss record for the Flames. Well, I don't know if you can, make an educated guess at that. I'll be interested to see what Vegas sets the over-under on the season win total, but I don't know how you can try to make a guess at that. I think Liberty could go anywhere from, what they did last year, just 4-8 to even an undefeated season like they did in Coach Chadwell's first year back in 23. So I don't know how you can try to make an educated guess at that. And, we don't know so much about this Liberty team. I mean, We've gone through the 10 different position group, kind of position previews during the spring. Just finished that up at ASIARed.com today with a look at the special teams and obviously a link there to all the others. There's so many new faces that's going to be littered on the Too Deep depth chart once the season rolls around that I don't know how you make an educated guess how good Liberty will be. And then you add to that so many unknowns for the majority of their opponents, including JMU, who obviously will be under first-year head coach Billy Napier. So you would expect both of those teams to, at least have their expectations of competing for a conference championship and maybe even getting back into that, CFP type picture like JMU did last year and like Liberty did when it was a group of six, New Year's Six bowl game in 23.
Bob Alvis was earlier. John Manson is now. If you miss any of those chats or Bryson Gordon from the morning warm-up, all of them are available at VTRN Sports on Facebook Live and YouTube. John Manson is available 24/7, although he won't always respond in the middle of the night at ASeaofRed.com and at ASeaofRed on Twitter. John, other highlights from the schedule. You mentioned the difficulty of picking wins and losses. I'm with you. I find that harder, but I'm always looking at things that stand out, like 3 midweek games, but only 1 midweek on the mountain game. I guess 4 if you count South Carolina in that grouping. What stands out to you about the schedule for the Flames this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the non-conference, first, the JMU game like we were just talking about, and then the final non-conference game the last week of September. It's on a Thursday night down in Conway, South Carolina, just outside of Myrtle Beach. Liberty goes and takes on Coastal Carolina. A lot of storylines around that game, too, because Jamie Chadwell is returning to his former home, place where he called home for several years, had a lot of success there. And it's also the first time Liberty and Coastal Carolina will meet since Jamie Chadwell was on the other sideline in that 2020 Cure Bowl when the Chanticleers were in the top 10, I believe, and certainly the top 15 and undefeated. And Liberty behind Malik Willis was a top 25 team and ended up finishing 10-1 and pulling out the win there in overtime and really an instant classic in that 2020 Cure Bowl. And those two games have to be, games that will certainly be circled by Liberty's fan base as a renewing of that rivalry between Liberty and Coastal Carolina. And it'll be in the first month of the season. So we'll get to know a lot about this Liberty team right out of the gate. And then as you get to conference play, the schedule breaks pretty well. You mentioned the 3 midweek games following that Coastal Carolina game, so 4 total, but 3 in October during the conference schedule. And you get Sam Houston at home, which, that might remind you a couple years ago when Liberty hosted Sam Houston in 2023, and that game decided the final play where Liberty's defense made a goal line stand to keep that perfect record intact. And then I don't think you can look much further than the Kennesaw State game, there in the middle of the month of October, a midweek game down in Kennesaw, just outside of Atlanta. So Liberty and Kennesaw has obviously developed a little bit of a rivalry here as Conference USA members, something that's carried over from their time in the A-Sun. And obviously Kennesaw is the defending conference champs in Conference USA. So that'll be a game that I think will have a lot of eyes on it as well, too.
John Manson from ASeaofRed.com with us in the fast lane. We'll wrap this up here as this is the last question on W227BG Timberlake, WVGM Am Lynchburg, WMNA Gretna Danville Southside, the VTRN Sports app, and ask that smart speaker open VTRN Sports. John, we can get into the nuts and bolts of more on the Flames football schedule, more on position groups. You have your positional breakdowns at ASeaofRed.com and on individual players for men's basketball from the transfer portal. But with the addition of Matthew Shelton as wrapping up the Flames roster, now that we know how it's going to be constructed, what is your biggest takeaway from what Richie McKay and his staff did to reconstruct this roster?
Well, I mean, I think the length and athleticism were 2 of his primary objectives. I mean, he brought in, Coach McKay and his staff brought in 6 transfer targets and through the portal, whether it's Division II, Division I, or even a JUCO player in Sean Register Jr. But all 6 of them have length and experience. I mean, if you look up and down the roster, you got a lot of 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guys, which is not something Liberty has had in the past few years. And even in the backcourt, I mean, the two Campbell brothers, Cooper and Kobe, coming over from Troy, where they, won 2 straight Sun Belt championships and played in the NCAA tournament 2 straight years as the starting backcourt. At least Cooper started both of those years. Kobe was injured his first year and then, started this past season. So got some experience there, but those are the only players on the team that are shorter than 6'4". So I don't think you'll have a ton of height disparities throughout the conference schedule, certainly once Liberty gets into conference play. But then you've also got, a lot of pieces that you would expect to compete for playing time. We obviously know the type of success Coach McKay has had with D2 transfers. And like I said, he brought in 3 of those guys, and you would expect all of them to compete for starting time and be part of the rotation. And then we'll also have to see, this highly touted freshman class led by 4-star Eli Sankum. Can he break into the rotation and maybe even a starting lineup as well, too? So it's going to be a much different look, obviously. I mean, you got 9 new faces on the team and only 1 returning that played any significant amount of minutes in Xander Carter from this past season. So a lot of new faces and unknowns, but it'll be one of those teams that I think has a lot of potential, and it'll be fun to watch how they develop in the preseason, especially November, December, once the season gets started, and see if they can round out into form once you get into conference play.
John Manson from ASiaRed.com with us here in the Fast Lane. John, we will get into greater depth on football roster breakdowns, football scheduling, as well as basketball roster construction. And hopefully in another week or two, we'll get a chance to hear from men's basketball coach Richie McKay with some media availability. When all that transpires, ASiaRed.com will have more. We look forward to those times and discussing it here in the Fast Lane.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, Ed and Trey. Good talking to you guys.
Always our pleasure. John Manson from ASiaRed.com. That wraps up the Fast Lane today. We're back tomorrow afternoon at 5. In the meantime, on to Freddie and Harry for about 25-ish minutes before we get you ready for Montreal and Tampa Bay in the Stanley Cup playoff Game 5 this evening.
Preaching that. Gee, ain't nothing wrong with a little tickle.